Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Uncaged. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me by my side, as always, is the one, the only Daniel Crimmins. Daniel, we are halfway done with season 2. We are here at the nitty gritty, folks. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, we're doing good, and we are back.
Hell yes. Folks, we took a little time off for a few weeks to just unwind and get things straight, and things are back to normal. And it feels good to be talking to you, man.
We escaped we were uncaged, if you will.
Oh, I like your style. That felt
See
good.
what I did there?
I see what you did there. I saw it. Oof, that felt good. And bro, here's the topic we have for everybody tonight: the best and worst Money in the Bank winners. Now, one of my favorite stipulations, one of my favorite pay-per-views from a stance of just the unpredictability. Daniel, how can you not love you some Money in the Bank?
I mean, I love it, and honestly, I would love to see more of it. Like, do tag teams. We've never seen a tag team Money in the Bank. I think it'd be a kind of cool concept, you know.
I agree. I mean, not to cut you off, but it's like, look at the tag team elimination chambers we had with the New Day winning, and you put tag teams in the elimination chamber, so it'd be something different.
I mean, I think it's just a cool concept when you got a guy who, what ladies Money in the Bank now too, where you don't know, could they do it in the same night? Yes, maybe not. And I like that the unpredictability that it brings. Like, you see a champion, go through a huge, match, and you think, okay, is this one's going to happen? You may see a champion, the holder come out. Maybe they cash in. Maybe they just tease it.
That's what I've always loved about it, too. I mean, before we get into the matches, I will say, look at what we have now with Io Sky and we have with Damian Priest. I mean, Io is cashed in on Bianca at SummerSlam, which...
Or is it Sami Zayn?
Oh, so if you haven't watched tonight, folks, we're recording this after Crown Jewel. For me, watching Sami Zayn steal the Money in the Bank contract from Senor Money in the Bank, Damian Priest, I laughed. I'm not going to lie. That made me laugh. I like that.
I really thought he was cashing in that night.
Well, it would have been fun because you could have Damian beat Seth and then Cody and Damian turns into a title match.
And then Cody wins it.
Yep. They could have done something very unique with it tonight, but they did not. But I mean, I'm fine with like Damian and Sammy having a feud now, and I mean the story is going to continue with Damian and the Judgment Day and everything like that. But I mean, I'm curious. I'm here for the ride. But have you been enjoying Damian Priest as the Money in the Bank holder?
I have. Like, I'll be honest. Damian Priest is my favorite Raw superstar right now. Like, the dude is money.
I mean, we've both seen him from his Ring of Honor 10 Years Punishment Martinez, his body transformation. The guy just works hard, and he's just very likable, whether it be as a babyface or heel. He has the size, he has the stature, he's athletic, and he just busts his ass.
He kind of has that, he's got that, like, that Razor Ramon vibe, that swagger, that he's oozing machismo, if you will.
I mean, he's adopted that into his entrance. Absolutely. I think he took a lot from learning from Scott Hall when Scott Hall did some stuff in NXT. But I mean, for me, dude, it's like Damian Priest, one of the unsung heroes, if you will, right now on that Monday night roster, roster. But yo, I mean, Io Sky doing her thing now as the champion. And I will say this, Kairi Sane is back. Welcome back, Kairi Sane.
I kind of figured she was coming back tonight or today, but I kind of figured it was going to be to confront Io Sky, but not, help her.
You could set some stuff up with Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Io Shirai because there's history there. And Bayley, when the last time we saw Kairi Sane, there was her and Bayley during the pandemic era. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's a story there tell there. Did you hear that WWE is looking to bring back Saray, who was in NXT? So, I mean, bringing her back would be very interesting if you want to put them into the fold.
From what I've heard, Triple H is trying to bring back a lot of people that, got cut. He's trying to, I know they're trying to make huge inlays into Asia, be it China, be it Japan, South Korea, places where there's new markets where we haven't seen before. And I think it's a good idea, honestly. I've heard Saray's name. I've heard Miko Satomura. They're trying to do something with her again.
I mean, when she was the focal point of the NXT UK women's division, like she was unstoppable. Like the first time I saw her in the Mae Young Classic when she was wrestling Killer Kelly, who is now in the Impact Wrestling roster, TNA, excuse me. Dude, like she's good. Like she's such a veteran. She's
Oh
worked
yeah,
in the 90s. Like
she's
bring
in WCW.
yes, she did. That's right. She wrestled in WCW in the 90s. You're correct. But like I love that. Like he wants to bring all these talents back. I mean, if you do NXT Asia going back to doing NXT Europe, I could see a lot of people going back. I could see I mean, they're on the Independents now. James Drake and Zach Gibson back as the Grizzled Young Veterans.
Happy for them.
Me too.
And we know who Miko Satomura's boyfriend is.
Who is Miko Satomura's boyfriend?
Murder Grandpa Minoru Suzuki.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. Now, am I saying he'd sign? No, not at his age. No. I mean, why would he want to do that schedule?
Oh, absolutely. I think
But it's a couple, appearances.
Yeah, I mean, he's so into that Japan AEW style, and I mean, he just enjoys doing it every once in a while, and he's fun. I think every time you see the Murder Grandpa, I mean, it's always a fun time, and it's always
somebody's gonna get hurt.
Oh, and somebody's gonna get hurt. Absolutely, it's what we see with Lance Archer every time now, ever since he's gone to Japan and AEW. But that's the thing, man, and bringing more people back. I think we're also going to see it now because the old man is gone, and we now have Triple H fully in charge, and people want to come back to work with a guy like Triple H. Also, I'm going to mention this briefly about Vince, the Tyson Fury fight. He was interviewed by the Undertaker. Vince had the cane because of his surgery. He called Crown Jewel Crown Prince, and Saudi Arabia is WWE's home.
I gotta say, it's weird seeing Vince like that, with the cane. Like, from what I've heard, the back surgery was pretty serious. Like, he's not going to be the same old Vince.
No, I think he's also, as he's gotten older, he's gotten out of it. And again, we've talked about being out of touch, but do I feel bad? I mean, yes, you don't want to see anything happen to the guy, but at the same time, with everything that he's done, it's almost like a way of karma coming back to him just because of a lot of the crap that, and I don't mean to put it like that, folks, but with everything that Vince
McMahon thought he was going to be able to, keep control, and Ari Emanuel's like, nope. It's like, you tanked our stock, we're going to tank you.
And you got to respect that, man. You got to respect that. And I mean, with Triple H being under this new regime, if you will, I mean, it's so funny to think about. We've talked about this. Triple H is in charge there. Shawn Michaels is in charge of NXT. And I'll be honest, NXT is a good product. I'm looking forward to Deadline and the next. That's going to be good. I mean, Ilya Dragunov and Baron Corbin. I never thought I'd be excited to see
a Baron Corbin match.
A Baron Corbin match, but it's worked for me, man. And Carmelo and Trick Williams, that's coming. That's going to be really good.
Oh, yeah. But who attacked Trick Williams? That's the question.
I could see it almost like a Shawn Triple H thing. You know what I'm saying? It was you, Carmelo. You're damn right. It was me, Trick.
Or was it him?
All right. Now, I'm going to say this. They hinted and planted the seeds of Alexis King is making his impact. Can you imagine if it was Alexis King who did it?
I feel like Carmelo is too obvious.
True, but I mean, if you look at someone like Lexus King, and we'll mention this briefly about Brian Pillman Jr., first and foremost, the man has already been in WWE for a cup of coffee. The presentation is amazing, rolling out with the chair. I like it, man. I dig it.
Honestly, it's such a stark contrast with from how he appeared in AEW. I liked him in AEW. I really did. But he doesn't even look the same.
Well, he has the old school, loose cannon Brian Pillman look, but it's like, I'm not going to call myself Brian Pillman. I'm nobody's junior. So I like the flip that they did with it.
Yeah.
I think with Tony Khan, when they were the Varsity Blondes, him and Griff Garrison, who does more Ring of Honor stuff now, it was just like the Varsity Blondes, he's such a WCW mark that, but there will never be another Hollywood Blondes. No, there's not. But and I like Brian Pillman Jr. I liked him in MLW with the New Hart Foundation with him, David Hart Smith Jr., Teddy Hart. The dude could do it all. Teddy Hart, yeah. When he's not messed up, he's a great wrestler.
Doing a documentary about his cats.
And that and Maria Manic, don't get me started. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's the world in wrestling. One thing I have to mention before we also do get into Money in the Bank, Daniel, Logan Paul saved Rey Mysterio's life today, folks. Enough said. Rey does the moonsault. Logan catched him into the power slam. If he would not have caught him, Rey Mysterio would have broken his neck.
Easily.
Easily. He would have, but thank God he caught him because that was a scary spot. I
And
was.
Logan Paul gets a lot of shit, but I think he's earned it.
Oh, as we're recording this, folks, Logan Paul is the new WWE United States champion. I'm for it, and I'm going to say this right now. He's got a lot of people he can feud with. They can have the rematch with Ray. You can do the rematch with Ricochet. Like, there's a lot of stuff they can do.
There's Santos Escobar. There's literally anybody.
Yeah, and I mean, that's going to be a fun run. And I mean, so you couldn't get Ronaldo from the football team over there. So we got this actor, Habib, this stand-up comedian with The Miz and Grayson Waller and the Grayson Waller effect. What would you think
mean
about
Baron Corbin 2.0?
That's horrible. That's not nice. What did you think about that, man? Because that was just wild.
I didn't even know who the guy was.
I didn't know he was either, but apparently he's a big stand-up comedian in Saudi Arabia. So
okay,
that's nice. But yeah, if you have not checked out the card, folks, Crown Jewel, like Roman and LA Knight, well, you knew the finish was coming with the bloodline. Predictable. Did you like Solo? Now I was thinking John Cena was going to win because they've been pushing that, but I'm like, they literally had him get mollywopped by Solo Sikoa. It makes Solo look incredibly strong.
It does. So I think I got to think that they're leading to Solo versus Roman at some point.
And I mean, if you're going to make anybody look strong like that, he did it. John Cena did his job. I mean, he obviously was calling the spots. You can hear him say, like, another spike or just stand around there. Just stand there. You know what I'm saying? Look like a badass. Just stand there, Solo. Because John Cena's not shy about calling spots very
Oh,
much. No. But he made Solo look like $1 million. I felt like I was watching a young Umaga squashing John Cena back in 06 and 07, man.
A young Umanga?
Umanga! Yes. There was not a bad match on this. I mean, Sami Zayn and JD McDonough was good.
The women's matches were solid.
Yep, Rhea retaining in the 5-way and Io retaining thanks to help for Kairi Sane, like we mentioned. Like everything, like Cody and Damian was really good. Like I enjoyed that.
Seth versus
and Drew was amazing. Like the story of that from the kickouts and the stomp, and then you look like Drew McIntyre was going to hit him, but they didn't. He just walked off. I mean, they're setting more of the seeds for the Drew McIntyre heel turn.
And I'm all about it.
Me too. Like everything, folks. And here's the funny part about it. We've said this, and I will say this so we don't also spoil it for everybody. I mean, we kind of did, but we want y'all to watch it. Like this year's and last year's, like totally different from what we saw from 2018 to 2021 because it has a better feel to it than it did back then.
Yeah.
Oh, you never thought you would say that because with everything with Saudi Arabia, minus the politics, but god dang it, man, they've been putting on some bangers there for these last.
And honestly, like not everything that that Triple H does is going to be a slam dunk.
No, absolutely.
I don't care how good of a booker somebody is. Whether it's Gato in New Japan, whether it's Tony Khan in AEW, Scott D'Amore in Impact, or TNA, nobody is going to be perfect 100% of the time. But
yeah,
this was a good WWE pay-per-views, PLEs, have been getting a lot better.
You know how hard it is to call it a PLE now?
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. It's like, and I'm going to say this, we've said this too, with Edge being in AEW now, I refuse to call him Adam Copeland. I can't do it. I can't do it, Daniel. I cannot call him Adam Copeland.
You know I'm an Edge guy.
Yep.
It feels like the excitement of him in AEW is already worn off.
Well, I mean, first of all.
And it wore off quick.
You want to talk about predictable. Like, we didn't think Adam Copeland was going to be the third man in the 6-man get freaking full gear. Like, you didn't see that coming, that he was going to be the third person. Like, come on. Ah, God. And I mean, when you're already getting into a Ricky Starks, and he just is like, they're mad at each other. And I mean,
from what I heard, he didn't know that Starks, he's not used to the AEW style, how they do things. Because he's used to being that, regimented WWE style. Like, dude, if you can't deal, then go back to WWE.
I think what set him off was the buggy eyes comment, and then he's called him a vanilla midget of the Rock. And you can see Ricky Starks was like, you can tell it kind of got rattled a little bit.
He's like, dude. Seriously, like, did nobody tell you how it works here?
First of all, I get it, but Do you want me to say it for real? Like Hangman Adam Page going off script? I think that's the problem. Like a lot of those guys say whatever the fuck they want. I understand the
Yeah.
structure. I understand it. But you have to understand if you go off script, that's a no-no. You know what I'm saying? That's my issue with that because Tony Khan lets them do whatever the fuck they want. Dare I say the roll of quarters? Hello, bad timing. That pissed me off, man. And I don't mean I'm not going to get too political, but bad timing. Hello, with the roll of quarters, Daniel.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go on my soapbox because there's a lot of good wrestling in each and every one of the companies. And
Absolutely. And this, I've said this, to you, in passing and in previous episodes, pro wrestling is in a really healthy spot right now, and it's, you can't really count ratings as much anymore because look, there's streaming, there's DVRs, the rating system, the Nielsen system is such an antiquated system. It's beyond me that they even still use it.
I mean, we're in a day and age. I mean, it still matters to a degree, but I mean, with social media and when YouTube numbers and DVRs, like you mentioned, there's so many ways for data and analytics now that it's not just like, how much did you get in the ratings or how many viewerships and stuff. There's a lot that's very much incorporated with today's day and age of data and analytics.
And, also you can't forget Dave Meltzer's 5-star rating scale.
That's what I think about you, Dave Meltzer. Your 5-star rating scale.
And, I'll say this. I forget who it was that said it.
Billy Corgan, because he absolutely ripped him on Kurt Angle's show.
Basically, I think it was Corgan who said, or somebody said, so many wrestlers are working to get that 5-star rating instead of making money.
That's what he said. So to point out what Daniel is mentioning here, Kurt Angle on the Kurt Angle show on his podcast had on Billy Corgan and Bruce Bryan, who cares? Billy Corgan. So he was talking about the NWA, and then Dave Meltzer and apparently him had an on-life beef where Dave Meltzer said that he couldn't afford TNA back in the day, and Billy Corgan confronted him about it, and he said, like, just a lot of crap about Billy Corgan, and Dave's like, just what he said, he doesn't understand modern wrestling, and Billy Corgan's like, I love a Kurt Angle match. I love Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. I would love a Kenny Omega match. Like, he does, because Dave was just, being Dave. And Corgan's like, you like a lot of people that don't draw money. And, he's very biased with his 5-star rating, and people want to kill themselves for the 5-star rating. And he's like, I don't get it how this guy is like the messiah of professional wrestling. He goes, if he's a historian, I'll give him at being a historian, but his wrestling opinion, he can, kick rocks. So Billy Corgan made a lot of sense. I mean, Billy, and people don't realize like the much money that Billy Corgan has from the music business, and he owns his own songs. So that means he has a lot of money. Like, I don't get it with Dave Meltzer. I know a lot of people like him, but I'm going to say it right now. He's a biased motherfucker, number one. And number two, why are you killing yourself for a 60-year-old man-child with a dirty office? Like seriously, let's look at that, for example. Like, he hasn't taken a bump in the ring, and just, like, why are we killing ourselves for a 5-star rating? Like, what does it mean anything, Daniel? Like, Booker of the Year means nothing, and Tony Khan wants to strive to be the Booker of the Year. It means nothing. Like, at the end of the day, it means nothing. You understand where I'm coming from?
But not long ago, somebody asked Meltzer, it may even have been on Twitter, which I refuse to call it X.
Me too, dude.
They asked him,
yeah,
who is currently Booker of the Year?
Who'd he say?
Ain't Tony Khan.
Did he say Paul Levesque?
Yes, he did.
If Dave Meltzer says it's Paul Levesque, what does that tell you? Hello?
I think, honestly, at least for me, it's all the backstage bullshit. Like, you don't need this.
Well, I think with Tony, what has hurt him is the social media meltdown from NXT kicking their ass in the ratings, from the fact that they did the Berlin now. There's going to be Bash in Berlin the week after All In. And just he has meltdowns over this stuff. Take away his phone, because November 17th is coming, folks, and Collision and SmackDown are airing at the same time. Take that man's phone away from him.
And I realize WWE now has access to that Endeavor money.
Mm-hmm.
They got more money now.
Well, here's my thing. It's like the Jade Cargill signing, which they're using her well with just showing up anywhere and seeing where she's going to go. The interest has been piqued, right? Mm-hmm. So I like the fact that they're doing that, but I think with Tony, with how he wanted her to stay with all the money, here's the mindset. Jade Cargill with Endeavor, you can do acting, you can make a lot of money, you can do this, you
Mm-hmm.
can do that. And she wants to be a star. Tony Khan's just like, well, you were the TBS champion and you're undefeated and you had so many great matches, but it's more than just having great matches.
It's about creating a brand.
Duh. Yep. But that's how Tony thinks. He has to
And
melt their mindset.
I will say this.
Yeah.
Look at the presentation of Jade Cargill. Look how
Yeah.
they have her first day she showed up. They treated her like a rock star.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, she's on NXT. She's at the pay-per-view. She's talking with Triple H. She's everywhere. Like, they promoted the shit out of the ESPN article. She was doing ESPN interviews. Like, she was everywhere.
Yeah.
Representation of your presentation, folks. It goes along.
So I got to wonder who's next.
Well, we got MJF. Do you see MJF going in 2024?
I would say at this point 50-50.
That's where I'm leaning to, because just you can see he's having some fun now with this babyface character. Which, by the way,
they got to realize, if I'm Tony Khan, I'm offering him whatever he wants.
Agreed. And I mean, with what he is, I mean, he's a star. I mean, he's an old school, he's a throwback, like you mentioned. He's a generational talent. And apparently, throwing that picture up, and I mean, him and Alicia Toot, man.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. Like,
good for them.
Good for them. But I'm like, okay, there you go. You go, Max. Oh, my goodness gracious. But let me say this, man. Let's get into our Money in the Bank, because we talked a lot about the world of wrestling. And folks, if you've not checked it out yet, go check out Crown Jewel. And Daniel, you should check out our show too, because you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are almost halfway there to 700 subscribers. Please show it up. Give us a like.
We're living on a prayer.
We're living on a prayer. Thank you, Bon Jovi. We're wanted, not wanted, dead or alive, though, but we're living on a prayer. Anyway,
it's our life. It's now or never.
I ain't going to live for. Brief story. First time I heard that, when I was like in second grade, VH1, remember the top 20 countdown? VH1 played that, and that song was everywhere. Were you a fan of that song with Bon Jovi?
What do you mean, were?
You're still okay. First of all, still Mr. Bon Jovi here. So tell me, did you 2005, man? Have a nice day. Have a nice day.
Anyway,
you're not going to sing it, Dan? Come on, you want to sing it. Okay, all right. I'm not going to get him to sing it, but at least I got him to smile. Anyway, back to Money in the Bank.
I think we got to start off with obviously the best.
Oh yeah,
very best. Numero uno.
Which was won by Edge. Yes. And
WrestleMania 21.
Which led to one of the greatest Money in the Bank cash-ins. Now, here's the funny part about it. One of the notes I took down, do you realize, I think Jericho talked about it on Talk Is Jericho, the original plan that they wanted to do was Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, Edge in a triple threat submission match, and Edge is like, I don't have a submission. So how is that going to work? And then Jericho came up with the Money in the Bank idea. Now, with this coming into fruition in its first year in its inception, and we'll talk about this because this is the one that Edge won, what were your thoughts on the fact that we have this type of match? It was interesting for a contract. You're grabbing the briefcase instead of a belt. What were your initial thoughts?
I thought I liked it. I thought it, added kind of a layer of uncertainty because it's the whole anytime, anywhere concept I thought was really, really interesting. Could they do it the same night? Could it be at Raw? Could it be at a house show? The old days, there were a lot of surprises. You don't see that much anymore. And I think I like seeing the surprises, like the surprise cash-ins. Kind of cool. And it's realizing everybody that was in that match. You had Shelton Benjamin, you had Kane, Christian, Jericho, Edge, and that one guy whose name I can't really remember.
It was Stevie Richards.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Y'all know who we're talking about, but my favorite spot.
He who shall not be named.
Yes, my favorite spot, Shelton Benjamin running up the ladder, hitting
Oh
the
yeah.
like there was a lot of great spots in this, and I think the guys that they got into it. I mean, you had the element of Kane being the biggest guy in the match, the young start Shelton, Christian, and you had Tyson Tomko with him, the problem solver,
Hmm.
Jericho. Everybody like this was a great use of just great talents and veterans, and the right guy went over.
Easily. Back then, this was right around the time when Edge was really becoming that kind of like that douchebag rated R superstar character. Like he was that character was in its inception.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it.
Me too, and I mean, Ed just said it too. Like when he came back and he was drafted to Raw in 2004, right? Like he was the baby face, but once we got to like Toronto, his hometown, with it was Edge, Jericho, and Batista at SummerSlam, he got booed out of the building. Then he became a heel because he was obsessed with winning the World Heavyweight title, and he didn't win the vote at Taboo Tuesday. And then he just enters into 2005 feuding with Shawn Michaels, winning the Money in the Bank, has the briefcase, and then we incorporate him and Lita. We go with the Matt Hardy feud. We go with everything that went into 2005. That was the general consensus of that year. And then after John Cena retains in the Elimination Chamber, here comes Edge, gives the briefcase to Mr. McMahon. 2 spears, 1, 2, 3, Edge is the champ.
Albany, New York.
All New Yorkers, baby. I know that's your stomping grounds, or you're close to it. It's all love, man. All love for you, DC, and the upstate New York crew. But, man, the only thing that was bad about that was he held the title for 3 weeks.
And I think if I remember the story right, I think it was either Dusty Rhodes' idea to do it, because I think he was on creative for a little bit around that time.
I mean, it might have. I'm not entirely sure, but
It was either him or Michael Hayes.
I think it was Michael Hayes. Dope.
Maggle.
Michael. So I can see it. I mean, I think they originally wanted to do Cena and H. I mean, would I've loved to see the triple threat there instead of Backlash? Yeah, but I mean, it all worked for the best. I mean, we got Edge and Mick in the infamous spear through the table, the flaming table. So I mean,
one of the most iconic WrestleMania shots.
Agreed, man. And they got Joey Styles to call that match, which made it even better.
In his WWE debut, I think.
So now Joey tells this story. So he debuted at Taboo Tuesday 05, and then Vince McMahon didn't like how he was commentating because he was calling it more like a wrestler instead of a sports entertainer. So they took him off and put JR. And well, he's like, well, the Edge and McFoley have a match on there. Can I call that? And he called that. That was like the only match he called on the card.
Because he had fired JR again.
And then Joey would go on to commentate the ECW on Sci-Fi Brand later that year. But
He realized that shit sucks.
This shit sucks. We got a zombie, folks. And I'm gonna say right now, the guy who played the zombie, Tim Arson, rest in peace. On that same week, he wrestled Matt Stryker on Heat, and then he wrestles Sandman as the zombie on ECW on Sci-Fi.
And legitimately gets his ass kicked by the Sandman.
Like legitimately, yeah.
He got beaten.
It was a Singapore cane, a kendo stick to the head, and then hits him on the ground. White Russian leg sweep 1, 2, 3. First match of ECW on Sci-Fi, folks.
Now, I think he got hit a couple times with that kendo stick.
Sandman beat the crap out of poor Tim Arson. He beat the crap out of that guy. Oh my Lord. But yes, I'm sure we're also going to cover this on a future episode of Uncaged in our later seasons. But yeah, there's an episode for you, the ECW on Sci-Fi era. Oh my Lord. That's a lot to talk about. Now, you mentioned a best one. We're going to go to a worst one now. Daniel Crimmins, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Money in the Bank 2020. Otis. I mean, the Oscar one was... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but that concept I thought was cool.
Yes.
You had both Money in the Banks happening at the same time in WWE headquarters. I thought that was kind of interesting.
And especially with everything that was going on in the world, you had to be creative.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Top of the building, literally on the rooftop.
Baron Corbin murdering Rey Mysterio.
And they still never explained it. Like, there was no explanation. Like he just shows up like a week, the next episode of Raw or SmackDown or whatever, and he's like, I'm fine.
I'm fine. Yeah. I mean, you had them all fighting in the elevator. Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles fighting in Vince's office.
And Vince just looks at them, and they kind of just push the chairs back in. They're like, sorry.
Sorry. But Asuka winning led to Becky Lynch announcing she was pregnant and she would win the Raw Women's Championship. And Otis
Just catching the briefcase.
catching it and leading to him and The Miz fighting for the contract, and the heel turn that nobody wanted with Tucker turning on Otis. Tucky. And Otis losing the Money in the Bank contract to The Miz, and The Miz would go on to cash it in and beat Drew McIntyre for that title. Yeah, that happened.
And then, like a week later, he would get demolished by Bobby Lashley.
Yep. That was that era, folks, of the pandemic era. But poor Otis, man. I mean, I got to say, first of all, they did nothing with Tucker with that heel turn because he was like released like right after that. You know,
yeah, a month or two later, he's just gone.
I think the only thing he's ever held in the WWE, he was one of the 24/7 champions, which everybody was the 24/7 champion, for fuck's sake. But thankfully,
I think even you and I had it at one point.
I'm sure we did. But that was one of my worst, and I got to do another worst here just because it's fresh on my mind. Are you ready, Daniel Crimmins?
Ready.
2017 men's Baron Corbin.
God.
So 2017 was a very interesting year for the Money in the Bank. I mean, for the women on that side of things, at 2017, we pretty much had, as I pull it up here, it was Baron Corbin and Carmella. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah,
that happened. We'll do Baron Corbin first. So Baron Corbin was in there with AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Shinsuke Nakamura, and they went with Baron Corbin.
I'll do you one better. Worse than that.
What's that?
2011 Raw Money in the Bank. Alberto Del Rio.
Okay. Let me just talk about the Baron Corbin one first, and we'll get to that one. Baron Corbin wins it, loses it in like mere seconds with a roll-up to Jinder Mahal.
Yeah.
And for Carmella, she wins with help from James Ellsworth, and then they do the rematch on SmackDown, and she wins it again.
Yeah, like randomly.
Because that damn James Ellsworth got involved.
Didn't she cash in on, who was it? Charlotte, wasn't it?
Yeah, she beat Charlotte, yep.
Charlotte and Becky, I think, had a match, and then Carmella just came in and stole it.
Yep, that was it. And I think the Iconics, like got involved. Iconic, and beat up Charlotte too. But yeah, 2017 was one, but we'll go back to 2011 with Alberto Del Rio. Now, SmackDown one was good. That was the one with Daniel Bryan. And then the whole thing with he was going to cash it in at WrestleMania, but he doesn't. He cashes in on TLC against the Big Show, and he wins. And then the heel turn, and he's with AJ Lee and all that good stuff. But yeah.
And then he loses to Sheamus in like 8 seconds.
18 seconds. The kiss of death from AJ Lee. And then we get Alberto Del Rio over here. He goes to cash it in so many times. I mean, he tried to at Money in the Bank after CM Punk beat Cena because he was pissed because the contract expired at midnight and CM Punk won the title in the infamous Money in the Bank match from 2011 with him and Cena. And then we get to SummerSlam, and it's CM Punk and John Cena with Triple H as the referee. And he wins. And then, well, to do anything, they have Kevin Nash, good old quad, Kevin Nash, come out, jackknife the living bejesus out of CM Punk. And then here comes Alberto Del Rio, hits him with a running kick. 1, 2, 3. Alberto Del Rio is your new World WWE champion. That happened.
CM Punk came back for that.
That's when he came back. All right, I'll sign my contract. I'll come out to Cult of Personality. Cena and I will stare down who's the real champion, and then I get screwed, and now I'm going to wrestle Kevin Nash, which never happened, by the way.
Thank God.
Thank God. And Kevin Nash on his podcast just said, I don't get CM Punk, and he was also still going on to think about LA Knight again, which, whatever, Kevin.
And here's the thing. Nash even ended up, instead of feuding with CM Punk, which would have made sense, what do we get? We get Nash versus Triple H.
With the sledgehammer above the ring.
That Nash literally could have just reached up.
Because he's so freaking tall? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are two. But the Daniel Bryan one was good because it led to what we saw there. And I mean, like I said, both 2017, the Carmella one and the Baron Corbin one were bad. The 2020 Otis one was bad, but Asuka one was touching because of where Becky was going.
And don't forget, 2012, we had one of the loudest reactions for a cash-in.
Are we talking about the one, the only Mr. Dolph Ziggler?
Good old Ziggles.
I was there when he wrestled John Cena at TLC 2012 for that with him and Cena, and you knew Cena wasn't going to win. But they did that, and AJ Lee does the turn. Then Alberto retains against Jack Swagger because Jack Swagger's a dumbass, and he got arrested, and they were probably going to put it on him, but no, Jack, don't be getting arrested while we're pushing it. And
hey, he likes the hat.
I like this hat. And then Alberto wins on Raw, and then, well, the music hits. I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world. Come on, bring it on. Dolph comes down with AJ Lee and Biggie Langston. And we have the match. He works on the leg. Zigzag 1, 2, 3. And the people go bananas for Dolph Ziggler winning.
And then we get a rematch a couple weeks later because Ziggler was hurt. Mm-hmm. We get the double turn. Del Rio gets it back.
Because poor Dolph got concussed. Now, I got to tell you, I kind of like the double turn. You know what I'm saying? Because Alberto was acting very heelish, and it works. He's better as a heel than a babyface. I will say that.
Yeah.
And with Dolph Ziggler, like, he's likable either way because he's just so good, and he can pull off anything.
He's phenomenal.
Now, the other 2012 one we have to mention. John Cena just like, oh my God, I won. Oh my God, I won. Yes, John Cena won the Money in the Bank in 2012, and he cashes it in on Raw 1000 against CM Punk and loses it via DQ because the Big Show got involved. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. But I'll never forget that face when he wins. It's like, oh my God, I won. You know what I'm saying, dude?
And then, you want to talk pointless Money in the Banks.
Hit me.
2013, Damien Sandow.
First of all,
I love the briefcase. I love the custom leather briefcase.
Me too. But here's my thing. He was red hot. He was with Team Rhodes Scholars. They do that, and, they're teaming. And it comes down to him and Cody, and he fucking screws Cody Rhodes, and he wins the Money in the Bank. Now,
you're welcome.
You're welcome. Now, should Cody have won the Money in the Bank?
Absolutely.
They feud, and he throws the damn briefcase in the fucking river, and I'm like, okay. And he goes and swims for it because Damien Sandow wants that Money in the Bank. He wrestles Cody on pay-per-view, and the match was fine. You know what I'm saying? They do their thing. Then he cashes it in and beats up John Cena on Raw. Mind you, great match. It was a really good match. Go back and watch it, folks. But he becomes the first person to fail at a cash-in at Money in the Bank. Well, the second, if you count Cena. So the second person, yes.
But did he, though?
Ooh, man. You know what it is, too? In 2013 was also the same year as Randy Orton. Now, Damien Sandow was worse, but Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan beats Cena. We know what happens. Pedigree, 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton comes out and cashes it in. Which one do you feel was worse, the Damien Sandow one or the Randy Orton one?
I gotta say Sandow, just because him losing was pointless. I hated it. He was red hot. It's case in point. It's another example of Vince not pulling the trigger on people.
I mean, would he been an interesting WWE champion? Yes. I mean, he had the character, he had the gimmick, he can wrestle. He really did nothing like right after that, right? Like they cooled him down for a little bit. He just kind of was there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he started doing the random gimmicks, and then he would, then we got one of his best gimmicks ever being Mizdow and him, like one of his best gimmicks being the stunt double for the Miz, but he cooled down. Macho Mandow.
The fact that they never did something with him and Curtis Axel, like as an honest, long-running tag team, mistake.
Absolutely. And I mean, you could tell he was having fun, and he was so good. And I mean, with the Randy Orton one, it led to the beginning of the Authority and Randy Orton being the champion, which led to WrestleMania 30, which, hell no, we don't want to see Randy Orton Batista. Daniel Bryan gets that victory, the infamous victory. I mean, it was what it was. Randy was like Cena. Like, the only thing he really hadn't done in his career besides, anything like of merit was winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. And they both did a year or two prior. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it worked from 2012 to 2013. That's really what we could say about that. Now, one of my favorite ones we'll go to. We got to go with 2006. Rob Van Dam at WrestleMania 22 wins the Money in the Bank, cashes it in on John Cena at One Night Stand. And here's the one thing that was cool about it. John Cena and RVD was a man about it. He said, I'm cashing in at ECW One Night Stand. So he was the first one to actually announce his cash in.
Now, we have to talk about the first person to lose their briefcase, Mr. Kennedy.
Okay. Now, last thing I'll add about
Kennedy.
Thank you, Daniel. So one thing I will add about RVD.
You're welcome.
I love you, man. Did you enjoy the RVD cash in at One Night Stand? That big pop of them throwing Cena's shirt back and wiping their butts with it.
Dude,
and
it's great.
And
Paul
Heyman comes through, yeah.
Let's not forget the sign that says, if Cena wins, we riot, which that's been parodied so many times now. But y'all, like, they were in an ECW crowd in New York.
I can speak for this as someone who has been in that building. Yes.
I think they would have.
Oh, I think so too. And I mean, Paul Heyman counting the three, everybody chanting "Thank you, Edge" when Edge came out in a biker helmet and speared John Cena.
Paul Heyman trying to run out.
He did not run out. He waddled.
He tried to run.
He waddled. But I mean, that was the start of the ECW on Sci-Fi brand with RVD winning. And he's going to declare at the ECW championship. Like, I liked it. I thought it was cool. You know what I'm saying? Because they were starting that back up. And Mr. Kennedy, poor Mr. Kennedy.
Kennedy.
He wins the Money in the Bank, which I love Money in the Bank WrestleMania 23 because everybody killed it. Like I said, everybody in these matches, folks, they go out of their way. I mean, it's the one night you can go nuts and buck wild.
Even Ric Flair was in a Money in the Bank match at
and
1 year.
WrestleMania 22, and he took that infamous superplex from Matt Hardy off the ladder. I mean, you also got to remember, this is the one in 2007 where Mr. Kennedy gave the Green Bay plunge to Hornswoggle off the ladder. Poor Horny taking a bump.
Good old Dylan Possible.
Yes. So Mr. Kennedy gets hurt. And apparently it wasn't as bad as we thought because he was back like right after that. And poor Kennedy, he gets beat by Edge, and then Edge would go on to win the Money in the Bank by cashing in on The Undertaker.
Like the next night, because if I remember right, he lost it on Raw.
Yep.
And then it was on Friday, but technically it was the next night.
Because SmackDown was taped, yeah.
On Tuesdays back in the day. Catches in on because I think if I remember, Undertaker was hurt.
Yes. So the Undertaker was wrestling Batista in a cage, and I believe there was, no winner. It was a draw. And then Mark Henry comes out and beats up the Undertaker. And then Edge comes out and cashes in on the Undertaker and wins the title. So you have Edge win it there for the second time. And he had a great world title run. Mr. Kennedy, after this, he was originally supposed to be Vince's son, as we all know. Kennedy. I mean, after this, he kind of was floundering a little bit, man. I mean, him and Carlito wrestled Umaga for the Intercontinental title. I think the big feud he had that year, dude, was with Shawn Michaels, like that match in Armageddon 07. But he was never the same. And then he dropped Randy Orton on his head. And
in an accident.
And then Randy Orton got him fired.
And Orton has even said since it was a mistake.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I liked him. And I think with Mr. Kennedy, he's been very open about how he kind of half-assed it a lot in the WWE. But, I mean, look at him now. He's a trainer. He has his own wrestling school. So, I mean, he's still doing his thing. You know what I'm saying?
The big thing is he's happy. And, in life, that's all you can ask for is just to be happy. But you know what? Good for him. And let's not forget, we talk about bad ones. You mentioned 2020. Let's look at the men's 2018 Money in the Bank.
Okay, go ahead.
Braun Strowman. Yes, folks, that match featured and literally any of the people in this match, and they went with him. We had Braun Strowman,
Mhm,
Bobby Roode, Finn Balor,
mhm.
Kevin Owens, Kofi, Rusev, Samoa Joe, The Miz, literally any of those people.
They went with Braun.
Bro!
If there was any time to pull the trigger on him, like the Roman Brock match, doesn't even get a chance to do it. Doesn't even get the chance to do it. And yeah, I mean, that was the same year when him and Brock were going for the title, and then Baron Corbin hits him, and then F5s. Braun gets F5 5 times, 1, 2, 3. Like, that was a horrible, horrible year for him and the Money in the Bank in 2018.
And, then there's.
I mean,
What was the.
was that the same year with Alexa Bliss where she cashed in on Nia Jax and then she got killed by Ronda?
Yes.
Oh, that was actually a good one, though. And I mean, I know we're not talking about a lot of the participants in the match. And again, go back and watch the spots for yourself. But when you think of Money in the Bank, the big thing is when you have the person who wins, how do we go the direction of the cash in? And with Alexa Bliss cashing in on the same night on Nia Jax, it made sense. And then getting
Yeah.
killed by Ronda, I get it because she would just come in and she was white hot. But Alexa Bliss was another one that was really good for the women. And I mean, like you mentioned with Braun, like they could have cashed it in. He could have won it like a year before. You know what I'm saying? 2017 again, red hot with the feud with Roman, but he kind of cooled off past this point. And then when he finally won it, when Roman said no, I'm not gonna wrestle in this pandemic, and you had Braun beat Goldberg, really didn't mean as much.
Yeah. And, this next one, you look at it, how the win occurred was bullshit,
Mhm.
but it gave us some entertainment.
Okay.
2019 Men's Money in the Bank. Brock Lesnar. If I remember, it was supposed to be Mustafa Ali.
Mhm.
They took him out, and you think, oh, it's just going to be 7 instead of 8, and then. Wait, actually, I'm trying to remember the finish. If I remember right,
Mustafa was on the ladder; he was about to win, and then
and
Brock.
then Lesnar's music hits. People are like, what's going on here?
Yep.
Lesnar, rips him out down, F5s him, climbs up and just catches it and wins it, and everyone's just like, okay.
Well, that gave us the infamous boombox case and Brock dancing like a nut, which
Yep.
was.
And then him kind of beating up Paul Heyman because he didn't realize he could cash it in whenever he wanted.
That just. I thought you knew. Like Brock Lesnar's gonna know. Like Brock Lesnar pays attention to the show.
No.
No, I didn't know. And then, of course, we mentioned just after that was just amazing just to see what we saw with that because that also gave us about like 8 seconds him and Kofi.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But actually, he cashed in on Seth Rollins.
Did he cash in on Seth Rollins?
Yep.
Which pay-per-view was that?
Let me check.
This sounds vaguely familiar. Again, folks, this is 4 years ago, so it's this is pre-COVID. I mean, we had Brock Lesnar beat Kofi. I remember the 8 seconds. Like, that's the best one I remember. Then we had him and Cain Velasquez. Oh, my God. But, I mean, yeah, that was around the time period where, yes, like he mentioned, he cashed in on Seth Rollins. But, okay, wait a minute. No, that 2019, Seth Rollins was still the champion, and then he would lose it to Bray Wyatt. Like, I'm trying to figure out when the hell did he cash in around that time? I'm really, like, trying hard to remember that. Like, it doesn't ring a bell.
Let's see.
While Daniel does that, I will say
I don't remember. No, it doesn't even really matter.
doesn't even matter. Okay, so while Daniel was referring to that, I'm gonna just look myself just because I want to see it. So 2019 was Brock Lesnar, which again, still so freaking hilarious. And then, yeah, I mean, he really didn't do much. I mean, all I remember is no. I'm telling you, I think 2019 that was the year when he cashed it in on. I think it was the Kofi one. If I remember correctly, it was Kofi that he cashed it in on. If I remember correctly, he did cash it in on Kofi. If I remember correctly. Oh, no, he defeated Seth Rollins after they defended against Oh, that was at Extreme Rules. That's right. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it was. If I remember right, it was Seth and Becky versus Baron and Lacey Evans.
Yes, that was the correct one. Yeah, now that's coming back. Yeah, so he cashes in on Seth after that match and wins, and then he loses it right back to Seth, and then Seth would go on to feud with Bray Wyatt,
And then lose it.
and then lose it again.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. That sounds about right. But
Now,
yeah, look,
one of my favorite cash-ins
okay,
was the winner of the men's Money in the Bank from 2021, Big E.
he deserved it. Like he worked his butt off for
Oh yeah.
years, and cashing in on Bobby Lashley like made sense. And then he would lose it a month later to Brock Lesnar.
No, he won it a little bit. He held it a little bit long. He held it for a couple months. Lost it at, I think it was day one.
Yeah, that match with Brock, and I think that
Yeah.
Fatal 5-Way. Yeah,
And
I mean,
you knew, like, the look on his face when he comes down to the ring, like, you can just tell he's just like, and after the match ended, he's just like,
yeah,
because, folks, Brock wasn't even supposed to be in the damn match.
but
It
they
was
were
supposed to be Roman.
building to Roman and Brock with the title unification. So yes,
Was this supposed to be Roman?
no, it was not. I think I forgot who it was supposed to be, but like they put in Brock Lesnar in there, and I forgot why, but yeah, they made it for day one. But the main point about it is too, like, it was just to lead to Brock and Roman going in there for the title. And I mean, like we mentioned here, that stuff was like great for Big E because we mentioned the feud with Bobby Lashley. He had some matches with Bobby Lashley for the title. But yeah, I mean, I hate to say this, but his title reign was kind of forgettable. You know what I'm saying? But
Well, they didn't do anything.
no, he really didn't. But I mean, the other one in 2021 that I will say, as we got it up here, folks, with Big E and everybody that won it there, I will say this: The Miz, we mentioned cashing in on Drew McIntyre. It was good until losing it to Bobby Lashley
Like a week later.
like a week later. Um, do I want to point out, speaking of The Miz, 2010, he wins the Raw Money in the Bank, and then he cashes it in infamously on Randy Orton after Randy Orton beats Wade Barrett, and then
Miz Girl.
the classic Miz Girl, one of the best Money in the Bank cash-ins. I will say one of the best, not the best, but one of the best.
I'm still trying to figure out who was out.
Okay, while he does that, I will mention the other 2010 one that we did get, folks. And I will say this. Kane cashes it in the same night, beating Rey Mysterio for the World Heavyweight Championship. This is when Kane, The Undertaker was in a vegetative state, and he was trying to figure out who done it when it was actually him. What were your thoughts on Kane winning the Money in the Bank and cashing in on the same night? Daniel?
You talk about, Big Show Paul White gets a lot of crap for all the constant heel face turns. Kane's got to have just as many.
Him and the
By
Big
the
Show.
way, it was Roman in that match.
It was?
Roman tested positive for COVID. That's why they pulled him.
Oh, yes. Okay, fair enough. All right.
But if I remember right, Roman was Universal Champion at that time.
Yes. Yes. He was still the Universal Champion, yes.
Wait, no. It was supposed to be Roman versus Brock at that match.
Yes, but that didn't happen.
At day one, Roman tested positive, so they put, Brock into the WWE title match, and they made it a fatal 5-way.
Yep, and then Brock would win and then have the unification. But, yeah, man, for 2010, where we had The Miz, and then we also had Kane, I mean, it was fine. Kane got a rightful world title run. Him and The Undertaker feuding, and then him and Edge, and then him putting Paul Bearer in the freezer. Yeah, that happened.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. But those are some big ones. I mean, 2009, we can also go with CM Punk winning the Money in the Bank. I was down for that. Like, that was cool. Him cashing in on Jeff Hardy. Everybody hated it. And, I'm straight edge means I'm better than you. The start of that. What were your thoughts on Punk winning in 2009?
That was the second win, right?
Yes.
I liked it. We knew beforehand that Jeff Hardy was leaving.
Well, I'm going to say this. First of all, The Jeff Hardy matches that he had were great. The cage match with him beating up Jeff after he lost and left, and
I will say this even before that,
yeah,
just because it was freaking hilarious. Jeff Hardy's music plays,
and it's CM Punk.
and CM Punk coming out dressed. He did that entrance spot on.
He looked like Jeff Hardy. He danced like Jeff Hardy. It was the
You mean like an idiot?
That's horrible. Excuse me while I dance before I go save my brother. Never gonna get old. I love it. So they have the feud, and then he gets squashed by the Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell, and then he feuds with the Undertaker. Oh, that just those matches.
That absolutely tasteless, promo where he makes fun of Paul Bear and steals the urn.
Oh, that was 2013 going for Mania, but yeah, the 2009 feud was short and sweet. But that one, oh my god! I mean, first of all, spot on with the Paul Bear impression, but again, it feels dirty, and it is dirty because the man literally just died.
Like, I think like the week before.
Yeah, like the week before he just died, and we're doing this, and I'm like, this is not cool.
Like this is what. I mean, okay, but just like, dude, wait a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, in 2008 was also CM Punk winning the Money in the Bank, and the infamous Batista beats up Edge. CM Punk comes out, go to sleep to Edge, 1, 2, 3. CM Punk becomes the World Heavyweight Champion, defends against the likes of JBL and Batista, and then we go into the championship scramble, and he gets taken out by Randy Orton and Legacy, and never has a chance to ever defend the title.
I'm trying to remember who. I think Jericho won that match.
Yes, he won the scramble match. You're correct. And that was the scramble match where Brian Kendrick was the champion for like a cup of coffee.
So, I mean, it counts. He was technically WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
I mean, it does. And I mean, there was that was an interesting time period with those scramble matches, folks. They introduced them and then they were gone right after that.
I liked them.
Me too. I mean, it reminds you when you're playing the video games with the hardcore time limit and you have like 10 minutes and then so you get the multiple falls. But yes, CM Punk 2008. First person to win it 2 years in a row. Which one did you feel was the better cash in for him, the 2008 or 2009?
I like the original one.
Well, with Edge, that was a bigger pop.
Yeah.
Because nobody saw it coming. But it was cool. For me, like we mentioned Kennedy, we mentioned RVD, we mentioned Edge. For me, what also sticks out with 2019, Bayley cashed in on Charlotte in the same night. That night, yep. And then it leads to her turning heel, getting rid of the Bayley buddies, and
she lost it like maybe a couple days later, and then
Charlotte.
Won it right back the next week.
Yes, she lost it to Charlotte. Then she beat Charlotte again. And were you a fan of the heel turn, the infamous Bayley heel turn?
Oh, absolutely.
She needed it, to be completely honest with you.
I mean, I can never root against Bayley. I can't.
I can't either because I was a fan of her since her 2013 inception in NXT.
Yeah.
The hugger gimmick was over. Like the Izzy, who's now wrestling now, which God bless her, doing her thing, man, it's just like her tearing the heel. I remember I saw it and I'm like, okay, where's this going? Let's see how this goes. And then she just ran with it. Like she ran with it, dude.
And making fun of Michael Cole.
That will always shut up, Cole. Hey, Michael.
And then she still does it.
And it's great. It's
now
so cool.
I'm wondering because eventually we're gonna get Io Sky versus Bayley. Like I'm wondering post Crown Jewel, like does Bayley turn face now?
Well, you could think Io was also pissed because with tonight's Crown Jewel, she accidentally hit Bayley, and she didn't want Bayley down there with her. So I mean, we'll see. I think this is definitely again WrestleMania matchup, Io and Bayley. Gotta do it.
Oh yeah,
gotta do it. But yeah, like that was another one. And I mean, for 2001, we mentioned Big E for the men, and I mean for the women in 2021, that was also an interesting year for the women, just because of what we got and everything that went into that matchup. What were your thoughts on the female Money in the Bank matchup that year?
Honestly, all the female Money in the Banks have been good.
For me, dude, it's one of those things where if you look at where we've gone with the females, and by the way, for those that don't know, 2021 was won by the one and only Liv Morgan.
No, that was 2022. 2021 was Nikki ASH.
Was it? Hold on. What am I thinking of? Yes, you're correct. I'm sorry. So 2021 was Nikki ASH. So we had Nikki ASH win, cash it in, and wins it the next day. And all right, she tried. Nikki Cross tried with that gimmick, but it was, yeah, almost a superhero. You know what I'm saying? The
They
whole
didn't know what to do with her.
they didn't, and it failed. That title reign failed.
Now, what she's doing now, where it looks like they're kind of bringing the Sanity character back.
Where she's just looking off in the distance.
Now, I know some fans are saying, like, because it looks like we're kind of getting like the dark side. Like, some people are saying, there's a rumor that Bo Dallas is coming back.
Like a new Wyatt family type of deal, kind of like
Kind of.
yeah. I mean, we'll see, but I mean, I'm interested to see
I
where.
wouldn't hate it.
No, but I'm interested to see where it goes because it's like she's been staring into space for like a long time, and it's like, what the hell is she looking at? You know?
She's looking at Ric Flair in AEW.
Don't. Oh God, I don't even.
I have that same reaction. Look.
Yeah, I would too. Like we're doing this. And you mentioned 2022, and my apologies for mixing them up, folks. So, Liv Morgan last year cashes it in on Ronda,
And
title
beats her.
And beats her, like literally beats her, and then beats her again, and then Ronda wins the title back. And then Liv Morgan, yeah.
I didn't think I thought she was going to be the first woman to lose her cash in.
Me too. I mean, and you're having her beat Ronda and Shayna, and it's like, what the hell? We're actually doing something. And then obviously she went nuts after she lost it, but it was okay. I mean, first of all, this is the same girl that had the yo in NXT. Like, she is another one who worked her butt off all these years.
Yeah.
Riot Squad. So I didn't hate it from that standpoint. But then, oh boy, we had Austin Theory win the men's. Tries to cash it in during Brock and Roman and Drew. And then he says, hey, man, Seth is down. I have beef with Seth. Let me go cash it in on the United States Championship. Then Bobby Lashley beats his ass. And then Seth curb stomps him 1, 2, 3. And Austin Theory loses. And then he just becomes mad and a heel. And he's prospered after that. I mean, it didn't hurt him as badly. But at the time, it was like, what the fuck?
Like, you build him up to, yeah. Because I know they were hoping he'd be the next John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got a good look. He looks, like money, but no.
Well, for me, I think what he has right now, especially when you're working off Grayson Waller, because Grayson Waller is what Austin Theory should be. But there's something when Grayson Waller talks, you're like, this guy's a fucking dick, but god dang it, he can back it up. Then you look at Austin Theory over here, and it's just like, okay. I mean, he's good, but you need a little more oomph to it, and I think he's showing that. I mean, this is the best thing that they have, and if they become tag team champions, Daniel, I don't hate it.
He's another Baron Corbin type.
Yeah, well, again, I'll say this. The fact that Baron Corbin is going for the NXT championship, and I'm actually looking forward to it, that says leaps and bounds about how far.
Well, him going back, I will say this, him going back to NXT has been the best thing for him.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no debating, no second guessing. Him being in NXT has worked.
I mean, he's helping the young guys like Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker, so it works.
Yeah.
Like, everything he's done so far, and him and Ilya Dragunov are going to have a banger because Ilya cannot have a bad match ever.
No.
Ever.
I need Ilya Dragunov versus Gunther 3.
Bash in Berlin.
They each have one win.
If there's any time to do it, it's next year at Bash in Berlin.
No, because I got Gunther winning the world title at that one.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I'm going to say this about Gunther too, folks. Like, the fact that I actually want to see him in the Miz, because Miz cut that promo, that was great. Like, I can actually be serious. Like, and first of all, it's new. And number 2, Miz is going back to being a babyface. And number 3, I think it'll be a good match.
Yeah. And I will say this, with Miz being one of the few people to win Money in the Bank twice.
Yeah.
Miz is one of those workhorse guys, who he can be heel, he can be face. He's the kind of guy that you can have him at the company events representing your company. He is a star, and he has busted his ass from day one, and he has earned it. The guy's gonna be in the Hall of Fame, guaranteed.
I'll agree. And I mean, he works with whatever you give him. And I'll say this, he's never gotten hurt except for that one time with the goddamn zombies with Damian Priest. But I mean, like, he hardly ever gets hurt. He's always there. He does the talk shows, he does everything. He is a company guy. And I think with everything that we've seen, like him and Edge winning it twice, he's won it twice, like CM Punk winning it twice. Like, there's a lot of people on that list that whoever has won Money in the Bank. And I mean, we can mention Braun Strowman, man, and all this stuff. But when you think of the Money in the Bank matches, it either makes you or breaks you, but it
Yeah,
gives us moments, man.
absolutely. Now, we talk about winners. All to me, the all-time greatest cash in. It's never been topped, and I don't think it ever will be. I'm talking about Seth freaking Rollins. WrestleMania 31. He wrestled Randy Orton previously that night in an amazing match. We got the most iconic RKO.
Mm-hmm.
Goes for the curb stomp in the air. Orton just whoop RKO.
I love that finish, and then he comes out there and Brock and Roman and just curb stomps
Like
both.
you think okay, yeah, Roman's winning it. Roman's winning it. Seth books it, and that ramp was long, and he'd already had a long match. Can you imagine how tired he had to be?
Well, for me too, like looking at that from his perspective, because Seth won it in 2014 with the help of the Authority, and then leads to one of the best cash-ins ever. I mean, of course he was tired. He had the banger early in the night. He's running down speeding because of that long ass ramp, and then he curb stomps them both and becomes one of the biggest cash-ins ever. I mean, for me, that made Seth Rollins. And I mean, if there's anything from the breakaway of the Shield to the Authority to where we got to there, like again, another one that really stepped up and showed out. I mean, this is why you look at a guy like Seth Rollins, who's just, for where we are now, especially with this inception of this world title run, I mean, for what we're getting, I mean, the guy can
Oh,
do anything.
absolutely. And you look at the Shield, everybody in that have all been fantastic. You have Mox/Ambrose, who won Money in the Bank and cashed it in that night.
On Seth, yep.
I love that each person to win their first world title beat each other.
Agreed. And I think for me with that, and I'll say this about the Dean Ambrose win. First of all, popped huge because he did it on Seth. Made sense. The Seth Rollins cash in made sense. Seth had a better run until he got injured later on in 2015 with the title.
Which is just sad because if I remember right, that he was, I think, supposed to drop it to Roman at Survivor Series that year.
I think he might have. Yes, because they were feuding, and he went to do the powerbomb spot on Kane on a house show, and his leg buckled.
Like,
And
if you watch that spot back, because there's videos on YouTube and everywhere.
yeah,
Like, it just even looks bad. Like, you see, the knee land. The knee goes this way, leg goes that way.
it was brutal, man. And I think for me, like, this kind of ties in with the cash in too, because like you mentioned, he was supposed to wrestle Roman. 5 minutes, man. Sheamus beating Roman in that 5 minute. How many times how long he held the title with him and Roman. Like
I
Roman
think it was
beat
like, what is it, 5 minutes, 16 seconds?
5 minutes and 16
And they
something.
made a shirt out of it.
I think it was Sheamus 5:13. I think it was 5:13.
Yeah, it was 5:13.
And then or somebody could correct this in the comments, but main thing is Roman was the champ for 5 minutes. They do the celebration, and Sheamus just comes in through the confetti, bro kicks Roman, cashes in Money in the Bank, and wins.
There's so much confetti. Triple H tries to, be like, you're the new guy. You're the authority guy now.
Yep.
And then randomly, like, he super punches Triple H.
Yep.
And then, like, you see Roman go down, and there's so much confetti. You don't even know what happened. You're like
what? Like, because there was so much confetti for it, and they were building this because Roman was going against Dean, and who's going to be the champion because Seth got, taken out. But then, boom, here comes Sheamus with the bro kick, 1, 2, 3. And first of all, if there's anybody to do it, it's got to be Sheamus, just because it was amazing.
And then people forget that he had the title.
Yes. By the way, just to say it, because I'm looking at it and I'm looking at the T-shirt, I was curious to see how we were. It was 5:15. So yeah, right around that time, Sheamus 5:15, baby. Sheamus 5:15.
Yeah.
And you got to forgive us, folks, with our memories, because I'm going to say this to you. Isn't it funny? And I know a lot of us forget, but how everything kind of blends together over the years because it's almost the same outcome. Isn't it funny how wrestling kind of just blends together?
Yeah, it's cyclical. It's, good times, bad times, worse times.
Yes. Well, I tried to block out Nikki ASH from winning. And here's my thing, and I love Nikki Cross to death. Like, from her inception, like, when I first saw her in NXT, dude, like, when she was doing the Sanity stuff, I'm like, okay, this is different, and I like it. Like, what she had there was special, especially what we have now. But I'm like, again, you try something, and she wanted to do it. Like, folks, she wanted to do that, like, to be, like, a role model to kids. But
Yeah.
I'm like, it kind of, like, as soon as she got the title, it went over like a fart in church.
Well, the whole thing of it was like, and the fact that how quickly she lost it back to Charlotte.
Well, then she turned heel because it's like, I'm not Nikki ASH anymore, but then she's trying to act good, but then she's not. Like, you try to add that little tweak to her character, but I mean, hey, that's the thing, man. I mean, that's how wrestling is booked, and that's what we get in professional wrestling. But wrestling and Money in the Bank matches have given us a lot of great moments. So if I was to look at this and say, if I had to pick my ultimate favorite out of these, because we did the best and worst here, I got it. My ultimate favorite is still got to be the first one with Edge. What about you?
This is tough because, like you said, there have been a lot of good ones, a lot of bad. It's a two-way tie.
Okay.
It's tied between Seth Rollins cashing in and Edge, who I refuse to call him Adam Copeland.
Same. I gotta go. If I had to pick like a top 3 or top 5, like I would go Edge, I would go RVD, I would go Seth, I would go Ambrose just because of that pop. Or as a tie between, all right, so Ambrose and Ziggler, I would tie for 4, and number 5, I would say probably RVD just because of that cash in front of those people at the ECW arena in the Hammerstein Ballroom. Worst for me, Baron Corbin.
No, I'll do you one better.
Go ahead.
Worst successful cash in?
Yep.
Jack Swagger.
We forgot about Jack Swagger. Oh, yes. Jack Swagger won it at WrestleMania 26. That's right.
That happened. That happened.
Then he cashed in like a... Okay, now Jack Swagger has told this story. He was originally supposed to cash in on John Cena. And John Cena was like, no.
Absolutely not.
We're not going to do that. No, we are not.
Then he cashes in on Chris Jericho.
After Chris Jericho was beaten down by Edge, yes. And then he had one of the worst World Heavyweight title reigns ever. Ever.
I don't even remember who he lost it to.
Rey Mysterio.
Oh, is that who it was?
Yeah. I was there for that Fatal 4-Way. It was Rey, CM Punk, Jack Swagger, and I think The Big Show. I could be wrong.
And then didn't Rey immediately drop it to Kane?
Yes, right after at the Money in the Bank that we mentioned. Yep. It was a horrible... First of all, his first feud with the World Heavyweight title was with The Big Show, and then they brought in that friggin' guy from WCW. Oh, God, who was his name? The one that played...
Bunkhouse Buck.
Bunkhouse... Getting it with his WCW. Thank you. Bunkhouse Buck, right? Bunkhouse Buck. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Bunkhouse Buck comes out as his father, and he's proud of his accomplishments, and Jack Swagger did all this, and then and the Big Show takes him the fuck out. And then we have this horrible match at Over the Limit where it was just terrible. And then he's feuding with the Big Show, and then Ray comes in, and then you have all these people come in for the title in the Fatal 4-Way. Like, his world title run was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
So bad.
And, I just had to remember the moment from the 2020 Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Otis couldn't climb the ladder.
Right.
He tried to, rung breaks. Tries to climb up above that one, that breaks. Like, we get it. He's a big guy.
All right. Now I'm going to do this as well because you mentioned like spots in that match. Like, I'm going to say best spots in Money in the Bank. I'm going to say you mentioned 2010, Evan Bourne doing the airborne off the ladder. 2008, I know he was in the match. Matt Hardy doing the Twist of Fate to MVP off the ladder. John Morrison holding the ladder and doing a moonsault. We mentioned Shelton with the running clothesline. Matt Hardy with the superplex to Ric Flair. The bookend off the ladder and the RKO in WrestleMania 23 as well with Ken Anderson. Shelton Benjamin doing that fucking dive in the middle of the friggin' aisle from WrestleMania 25. Like, there were so many great spots. I mean, Sheamus powerbombing Sin Cara through the ladder and it broke. Jeff Hardy doing the leg drop through Edge through the ladder from WrestleMania 23. What are some of your favorite Money in the Bank spots?
Honestly, you think the iconic spots and more infamous, I don't think you can top the Shelton Benjamin. He had the ladder that was standing up and the other one was kind of sandwiched into it and doing the kind of catwalk jump leap.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Ric Flair getting
Superplexed
off the ladder.
Like, Rick,
He was
what are
in
you
his 50s.
like? What are
Well,
you
he
doing?
was in 60 at that point.
Yeah, but I even remember watching that, and I'm like, Rick, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Remember
Are
what
you
happened?
trying to die in the ring?
Well, hey, but do you remember what happened also the next night? That was very iconic from that.
Iconic?
Iconic? You remember what was iconic about that?
I do not.
So the next night, Ric Flair comes out to the crowd, and then some guy by the name of Armando Alejandro Estrada comes out,
Umanga.
and there was the debut of Umaga.
No, you guys hear it. Umanga.
Umanga. Oh, rest in peace, Jamal Eki. Rest in peace, Umaga. Oh, but yeah, no, Ric Flair doing that. There's so many great spots, and I think I got to say this about the women, like you mentioned. I like that the fact that with 2017 that they integrated the women in there, mind you, Ellsworth, but I think everybody that you put in there, from the women's pay-per-views to women's matches in general and becoming the main event, the women have killed it, man. Like you
Oh,
mentioned,
yeah.
number 2, it's great to really have that integral part of just women's wrestling being a part of that too.
And honestly, I honestly thought when Io got the women's Money in the Bank this year, I figured, yeah, she'll be the first one to lose.
No, and she won.
Because up until within the past couple of months, her booking has been
Very abysmal, but I think like the women that we've mentioned, she's another one who worked her butt off. Like she was on the verge of getting released,
absolutely.
and she was on the verge of getting released, and they kept her, and they brought in Dakota Kai back from being released.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm an Io fan.
Me too.
Like I love what she's doing. I kind of thought that they were kind of using her as a face, but now it's looking like no.
I mean, I'm for a Kairi Sane, Asuka, Io, like the new Kabuki Warriors type of vibe to it.
I like that.
Me too. But yeah, and I mean, this year with Damian Priest, he hasn't cashed in yet, but I'm curious to see what happens. But like this year, like I'm looking forward to seeing what next year is. And the only other thing I'll say about Money in the Bank, like we mentioned the spots, we mentioned everything that goes into it. One final thing I have to ask you, Mr. Daniel Crimmins, because we have kind of missed the obvious here. The matches start at WrestleMania, like from 2005 to 2010. We had Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. Then 2010, we started with the pay-per-views, right? What were your thoughts on the matchup that was synonymous with WrestleMania? Like we've seen a lot of these with the gimmick matches, then becoming a pay-per-view.
Honestly, I would like to see it return to WrestleMania, honestly. Because with WrestleMania, it felt more special. Because WrestleMania is your spectacle show. You've got you have the grandeur of it all, how special it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, bringing Money in the Bank back to that, I think would be a good idea.
Agreed. I think for the special attraction that it is. And again, I have these last pay-per-views have been really good with Money in the Bank, but
yeah.
I kind of miss the whole WrestleMania feel of, okay, like, WrestleMania, the streak's going to be on the line. You're going to get all these spectacle matches, but you also know you're going to get Money in the Bank.
And now, Mania, we don't have Undertaker anymore. There's no streak. Apart from being an obscenely long show, there's no cash. There's nothing.
I mean, if they move the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal to like the SmackDown
back to the show,
yeah, I mean, it is what it is with that stuff, but we'll see. I mean, for me, like when you think of Money in the Bank, for something that started as an idea by Chris Jericho, because it's like fuck this triple threat submission match, let's do something new and different and special. And I mean, I think that's what we got. That if you can describe Money in the Bank in one word, it's special.
Oh yeah. And now that we have a women's Money in the Bank, I think is absolutely amazing. I would love to see a tag team Money in the Bank,
Mhm.
and I really like the idea of Austin Theory cashing in on the U.S. title. I think it adds in a layer of unpredictability of not knowing who's gonna cash it in.
I mean, what made it special too is because with the addition of that last year, like you mentioned, it's like no title is safe. You could cash in on anybody.
Exactly, like conceivably, somebody could cash in NXT.
You can cash it in on the North American title. You can cash in the NXT title. Like it works
No, nobody's cashing in on Dirty Dom.
because mommy will not let them. The man is a hot attraction. He's a hot commodity now. What can I
Who
say?
would have thought? I mean,
No, I wouldn't
I
have.
guess they're piping in, the booze for him because people are actually cheering him.
I don't know. I mean, Triple H kind of acknowledged that. He's like, "Oh well, they say like you pipe it in here, but I can hear you loud and clear." Like Triple H made a joke about it. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm loving what we're doing, man. Like we said at the top of the show, folks, professional wrestling. There's such a great variety, and there's a lot of good stuff going on, which you should check out. I know people say what they will about, NXT is not the same as what it was. Shawn Michaels has been doing a bang up job booking
Oh,
NXT.
absolutely,
Like
absolutely.
it's like infiltrating a lot of the talent that we have and going back and forth from different rosters, like having Becky down there and Dominic and Baron Corbin and all these people. Like it works, man. Like it works so good.
Yeah, and we got the Creed brothers on Raw recently, and
Oh man, that match with American Alpha, and then they do the friggin' tables, ladders, and scares, and poor Julius Creed taking that ladder bump. Oh my god,
we got Ivy Nile with them, and honestly, their social media is hilarious.
very much so.
I'm a big Ivy Nile fan, and you know what? I hope that they brought them up
Mhm.
and that they give her a chance to do her thing because she's got something. Like she's got something special.
Oh, I mean, they all got something special with the women, and I mean, I'm going to say right now, Lola Vice, the perfect woman to win the breakout tournament this year.
Oh yeah,
Like,
and Lyra Valkyria.
yeah, Lyra, man, beating Becky Lynch, and she's the women's champion now, coming from NXT UK.
That is a huge rub,
That is, if you're like you trained with her, like you met Becky Lynch, and now here you two are main eventing NXT and beating her. Oh,
and that was a great match.
it was. And like I say to people, don't sleep on NXT. Like,
No,
watch the fucking product. Like, watch it. It's good.
you know Dragunov and Trick and Carmelo
Oh,
Hayes. Both matches have been amazing.
like, again, Ilya, like we mentioned, can't have a bad match.
No,
And Carmelo has just elevated himself even more. He is him.
I think he's ready. I really
He's
do.
ready to come up, man. And I think the final thing I will say as well for the stuff that we saw, and like, obviously, there's no more Hit Row because of dumbass Top Dollar. And there's no more, like, we don't even have Ashanti the Adonis anymore. BFAB meeting with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. Do you like the fact of BFAB being with them?
I would love to see them do something with her. I know Ashanti Adonis is still with the company.
Put him in NXT.
Yeah. Send
Like,
him back, give him a new gimmick, something.
that there's so many endless possibilities here, and that's what I love wrestling. And this is why I
Just
love.
don't bring back Top Dollar.
No, please don't. Like, he can go away. He can just.
Tony Khan will sign him.
Tony Khan will sign anybody, and I don't mean to be mean, but he does. Like, he signed fucking Ric Flair. So what the hell do you think? Ugh.
He signed Parker Boudreaux or Bordeaux or
The
whatever his
former
name is.
Harlan from NXT, and they've done nothing with Parker Boudreaux.
No, they released him.
Did they release him too? Oh god.
That
Now
or they didn't re-sign him.
one last. Okay. Now, and I mean, I keep saying one last thing, but you keep bringing the creative juices in my head. So we have Lexus King in NXT. What are your thoughts on Arn and Brock Anderson leaving AEW? And do you think Brock Anderson goes to NXT?
Maybe.
That's what my thing. Like, he didn't impress me in an AEW. Like, not really.
He had no personality.
God, that's the
He
problem.
was the David Flair.
Oh, you're going there. Gonna open up
And
that
I
door.
am an Arn guy.
Me too. Like the Enforcer, this one of the best spine busters ever. Like,
The greatest spine buster. Like, dude, I think he could hit that now and it would still be.
pretty chef's kiss. But
Don't forget, we got the infamous Glock promo in AW.
got the Glock. I love the Glock. Oh, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting times, man. Like, I'm smiling just talking about it, and I appreciate each and every one of you that listen, because we're gonna keep smiling. And the infamous word that we keep saying here in the show, folks, is storytelling, and that is our two-part finale. Episode 9 and 10 is going to be a two-parter. Cody Rhodes' first run in the WWE is our next episode, followed by the season finale of Cody Rhodes' second run, and
Where
is
we will finish the story.
well, we will
On the
finish the
season.
story on the season and talk about the AEW run and back to WWE. So first run in WWE, we are going to be talking about his debut, his tag team with Hardcore Holly, the Legacy debut. We are going to be talking about dashing Cody Rhodes and undashing Cody Rhodes. We're going to be talking about Stardust. We're going to talk about Team Rhodes Scholars and what led to his release or him quitting the WWE.
He had to go finish his story.
He did, but that will be our season finale. And we're going to have a bonus episode because Daniel Crimmins really, really, really wants to rip AEW's Fight Forever video game.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do that episode because you hate that game so much.
And I didn't want to. I wanted to love it.
Didn't they do like another thing where you can have more download stuff? Didn't they add like something to it now?
They're adding a second season DLC, which, okay.
Okay.
But the fucking Stadium Stampede, they turned it into, imagine Fortnite, but as a wrestling game.
Save it for the show, brother. I can't wait to hear it. So
I gotta calm down.
You gotta calm down. Goose Fraba. Do you know a little I Feel Pretty?
I'm about to turn into Bobby Knight from that movie.
Shit. You gotta dunk that shit.
The late, great Bobby Knight.
Yes. I still think of You Gotta Dunk That Shit. You gotta dunk that shit.
Another one of the guys that's in like every
Adam Sandler movie.
Yes.
So that will be our two-part season finale, and then Daniel's gonna go ape shit on Fight Forever. So thank you guys for listening.
I'm gonna go with nuclear.
Thank you guys for listening to another edition of Uncaged. You guys can also check us out because it's going to be happening within the next few weeks. Promo series, yours truly goes up against Beer in a promo exhibition. And Daniel Crimmins defends the knowledge title against the captain and good old Teddy P. De Niro. Shout out to Teddy and Dazzy. And then you have a tag title knowledge defense with you and Mo against Dazzy and Corey for the tag titles. Daniel, are you ready to have that show be about you, sir?
Sure.
He's gonna try. You gonna try? I love your confidence, and I just love everything you do. All right, check that out. Link will be in the description. Y'all boys in the TSK going to be doing another show coming soon?
We're trying to get something together. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to happen, but we got some stuff cooking in the kitchen, if you will. If you will, check it out on the Max Wrestling YouTube. And if you want to follow us on our social medias, SM Show 1, MCL92 on the Twitter machine, L Larkin _92 and M Larkin on MB on the Instagram. You can check me out with the YouTube here, Mike Larkin 92, which again, Steve and Mike Show, Uncaged, and all the great shows that are on this channel, LFCfights.com. And please subscribe. You can check out Daniel and I doing our thing. Why haven't you subscribed already?
Why have you not? Leave us a like, leave us a comment. And plus, we have a nice little setup here. We're getting on the StreamYard banner here. Everybody loves them a little StreamYard, man. It's nice. Feels good.
You got a duck.
How
can you not like ducks?
Got a duck. That's a great advertising point for StreamYard.
I like this duck.
Quack, quack, motherfucker. Anyway, at least it's not Howard the Duck. Duck and proud of it.
But it's quite a dynasty.
Yes, it is. I saw what you did there. So we will be back in our two-part. The next episode is Cody Rhodes' first run in WWE, and then we'll be back with episode 10, and then, like we mentioned, the bonus episode.
And we'll have more adrenaline in our soul.
Something, Cody Rhodes. So, folks, for Daniel Crimmins, my name is Mike Larkin. Thank you for listening to another edition of Uncaged. We'll see you next time, and the best way I could sum this up is goddamn Jack Swagger. He likes this briefcase.
And thanks for stopping by. At quote Anchorman.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.